It breaks my heart. I am so proud of the girls. There are a handful of girls now who are suing their state's attorney general and the high school sports governing body that has allowed this to happen because of their discriminatory policies that exclude women from the women's category. Cannot believe this is.
I have never seen an organization more committed to self-imploding than the WNBA. A few weeks ago, I made this video highlighting how it appears Brittney Griner said bleep white girl after fouling out in a game against Indiana Fever, the team that CaitlinClark plays for. Some people like Jamel Hill, former ESPN host, says that no, she didn't say bleep white girl. She says bleep whack call, to which she then went on to call me a grifter for even pointing this out, but besides the point. You can watch and make up your own mind as to what it appears.
Riley Gaines just dropped a bombshell on Brittney Griner and the entire WNBA establishment. After Griner's controversial comments about CaitlinClark were quietly brushed aside, the former Olympic swimmer stepped in and said what many were already thinking. She didn't hold back, and now the league is scrambling to manage the fallout. Was Riley Gaines right to call out both Brittney Griner and the WNBA's apparent double standards? Or should she have stayed out of basketball drama? The WNBA seems more committed to self-destruction than growth these days. Just a few weeks ago, a video surfaced that many believe shows Brittney Griner making inflammatory remarks about CaitlinClark after fouling out during a game against the Indiana Fever. While some defenders claim she was reacting to the referee's call, her timing and body language suggest otherwise.
Fox News, I ain't never seen this lady a day in my life. Why'd y'all hire this woman?
The USA basketball chair actually said it would be irresponsible to put CaitlinClark on the U.S. women's Olympic basketball team, all while putting Brittney Griner on the team. I think with the extreme controversy that she brings.
Let me jump in, Riley, because you say it a lot there. I'm not sure what you mean by the controversy that Brittney Griner brings to the game. I mean, that's kind of not fair to say without explanation.
Well, I mean, I think given everything that happened overseas, given that she was put in jail, I mean, the controversy is certainly there, whether we want it there or not.
Not her fault and wrongly accused. Let's be fair. That's Riley. I like you a lot too. That's not right. She was wrongfully accused. That is not fair to bring that up. So we're going to delete that. Okay, let's you and I continue.
She literally tried to tell Riley Gaines that Brittney Griner was unlawfully detained. What are you saying? Fox, get this lady off y'all show.
When Riley Gaines saw the WNBA protecting certain players while throwing others under the bus, she immediately recognized the pattern. Her intervention came at a pivotal moment right after the league had spent time and resources investigating completely false claims against CaitlinClark's fans, all while ignoring real controversies caught on video. The brilliance of Gaines's response cannot be overstated. She took to social media and absolutely dismantled Brittney Griner with surgical precision. Gaines didn't just call out the alleged comments. She reminded everyone of the broader context that makes this situation even more absurd. The United States government literally traded a notorious arms dealer to bring Griner back from Russia, and this is how she repays that sacrifice. Victor Bout, known as the Merchant of Death for his role in global arms trafficking, was responsible for fueling violent conflicts around the world. Yet the U.S. exchanged him for Brittney Griner. The idea that someone who benefited from such extraordinary government intervention would then make derogatory comments about another American athlete is, as Gaines pointed out, stunning. Her argument about imagining if the roles were reversed is devastatingly effective. Can you imagine the fallout if CaitlinClark had been caught on video making similar remarks about Brittney Griner? The media would be calling for her head, sponsors would flee, the WNBA would likely suspend her indefinitely, but because it's Griner making the remarks and Clark on the receiving end, suddenly everyone wants to pretend we can't really tell what was said. The double standard is so blatant that even casual observers are beginning to take notice. What makes Gaines's approach particularly impactful is that she's not just calling out one player for one incident, she's exposing a systemic problem. Within the WNBA, an organizational culture that prioritizes certain narratives over fairness, accountability, and consistency.
Tonight, Indiana Fever and Atlanta Dream played. Indiana Fever is where CaitlinClark plays. Atlanta Dream is where Brittney Griner plays. Now you tell me what it looks like Brittney Griner is saying here. For a little bit of context, this was in the fourth quarter after Brittney Griner fouled out against CaitlinClark and Indiana Fever would go on to win by 5. Now I'm going to tell you what I think she said. Let's play it back. Looks to me like she is saying trash and then calling CaitlinClark a bleep white girl. Just a reminder, this is who Joe Biden traded for the Russian merchant of death. So many WNBA players hate CaitlinClark so much when she is the best thing that could have happened to the league. And she's not the best thing that happened to the league because she's white. It's because she's a good player. It's because she's the best player. Now, imagine if CaitlinClark said the inverse of this. It would be reprehensible, condemned, and understandably so. You've got all of these individual players. You have sports commentators, people like Ryan Clark, who constantly tout of the racial tensions that exist in the league, when in reality, they are the ones perpetuating and amplifying these racial tensions with their anti-white hatred for Caitlin.
When the media outlet Outkick attempted to obtain credentials to directly question Brittney Griner about the alleged comments, the WNBA denied their request. That's when Riley Gaines really went on the offensive. She pointed out that, aside from Outkick, no one in the sports media had even attempted to get answers from Griner herself. Instead, the rest of the media seemed content to speculate, deflect, or make excuses. But the moment someone tried to seek the truth, the WNBA shut them out. The denial of media credentials to a legitimate outlet asking fair questions is absolutely damning for the WNBA's credibility. This is supposed to be a professional sports league that relies on media exposure and fan engagement. Yet when journalists attempt to do their jobs and ask basic questions, the league responds by blocking access. Gaines highlighted this hypocrisy perfectly. She noted that the WNBA rushed to investigate unverified claims against CaitlinClark's fans, claims that ultimately turned out to be false. The league issued statements, launched inquiries, and made a public show of taking those allegations seriously. But when there's actual video evidence of a player potentially making inflammatory comments about the league's biggest rising star, suddenly, the league goes silent. In an interview with Fox News, Gaines delivered a scathing indictment of the WNBA's integrity, saying, "I've never seen an organization more committed to self-imploding than the WNBA." She then laid out exactly why the league's actions are not just hypocritical, but deeply damaging, undermining both their credibility and the trust of the fans they claim to serve.
What Griner says, there is one way to find out. Ask Brittney Griner. However, no one has done that except for Outkick. It's been over 2 weeks since Griner said this. Instead, the WNBA was investigating a bogus race hoax made up by Angel Reese about Indiana Fever fans. And I say bogus because they found no evidence that supports Angel Reese's claims. So we at Outkick applied for media credentials to cover Brittney Griner's team, the Atlanta Dreams, game on June 6th. To which, shocker, they denied us. We've never had trouble getting media credentials with any professional sports league in the past, but wouldn't you know, now they suddenly have very limited space, which is total baloney. They just want to suppress any sort of uncomfortable inquiries from media. Regardless, we at Outkick are going to keep asking the tough questions, the questions that people want the answer to. And if you do call yourself a reporter or a journalist from an outlet like ESPN or any other sports outlet for that matter, and you have access to these settings and you're not asking those questions, you're really no reporter or journalist at all, at least not one.
The timing of Riley Gaines' intervention couldn't have been more perfect. It came immediately after the WNBA spent time and resources investigating completely false claims against CaitlinClark's fans. What we're seeing is a league that springs into action over fake controversies, yet refuses to address real incidents, even those caught on video. Even more embarrassing for the WNBA is how Gaines called out ESPN's Jay Hill for seemingly trying to run cover for Brittney Griner. Hill reportedly claimed that Griner didn't say what many people believe she said, but instead said something else entirely. But as Gaines pointed out, people can simply watch the video and judge for themselves. That's the perfect response to these gaslighting attempts. Don't tell the public what they're seeing or hearing. Let them see the footage and decide. The fact that prominent media figures are working so hard to reinterpret obvious audio and visual evidence shows just how desperate some are to protect certain narratives. What makes this situation even more absurd is how easy it would be for the WNBA to handle it with integrity. All they need to do is apply the same standards across the board. If they're willing to launch investigations into unsubstantiated claims against fans, then they should also investigate substantiated claims involving players. If they grant media access for some stories, they should grant it for all legitimate journalistic inquiries. Instead, the WNBA has chosen to take the opposite path, exposing their hypocrisy for everyone to see. And Riley Gaines has made sure that spotlight is now shining directly on them.
Brittney, I'm Bill Roden from ESPN and Skate, and it's really great to see you. It's good to know the prayers have been answered. The question, you've always represented so much throughout your entire career about access and, being able to do stuff. And I hate to put one more thing on your plate, but there are a number of states who are aggressively moving to prevent transgender athletes playing. And I was wondering, again, I hate to put one more thing on your plate, but in terms of on your radar, where is that? You're going to have a tremendous platform, but where is that going to be on your radar in terms of advocating for, athletes, all athletes, transgender athletes, to be able to play?
Oh, I mean, that ranks high on the list of things that I'll be fighting for and speaking up against. Everyone deserves the right to play. Everyone deserves the right to come here, sit in these seats, and feel safe, and not feel like there's a threat or they can't be who they are, or like it's just all eyes on them. I think it's a crime, honestly, to separate someone for any reason. So I definitely will be speaking up against that legislation and those laws that are trying to be passed, for sure.
A lot of people are talking about the Olympics, but not for the right reasons. So let me shed some light into a story that not too many people are talking about. I'm sure a majority of you know who Riley Gaines is and who is Brittney Griner. So Riley Gaines laid into Brittney Griner for kneeling during the national anthem. You don't have to sing or anything, but you need to show some respect for the country that saved you from a Russian gulag. True. If y'all forgot, Brittney Griner was a 32-year-old that was arrested in Moscow on February 17, accused of entering Russia with a vape cartridge containing cannabis oil, which is illegal in Russia. She was sentenced to 9 years in Russian labor. Obviously, this was a whole political thing. This was immediately after Russia invaded Ukraine. However, America fought for her and got her back in a one-on-one exchange with another prisoner. But that prisoner is one of the biggest arms dealers ever, Victor Bout. So you bring something illegal to a country, that country arrests you, and then America does everything to try and get you back here just for you to kneel during the national anthem?
The broader context of this controversy makes Riley Gaines' intervention all the more significant. CaitlinClark has been the best thing to happen to the WNBA in decades. She's filled arenas across the country, brought in millions of new fans, and generated more positive attention for women's basketball than any player in history. Yet instead of celebrating and protecting their breakout star, the WNBA seems more interested in placating players who resent her success. Rather than championing Clark, the league appears willing to investigate baseless accusations that might make her look bad while ignoring real controversies involving other players even when caught on video. This backward approach is exactly what Gaines is calling out. She's not just criticizing a single incident. She's exposing a league that seems actively committed to undermining its own future. The ESPN cover-up and Outkick credential denial. One of the most damning parts of this saga involves ESPN's Jay Hill, who claimed Brittney Griner didn't say what many viewers believe she said in a now viral video. Gaines pushed back, reminding everyone that people can and should watch the footage themselves and decide. This is the perfect response to media gaslighting. Don't rewrite what people see and hear. Let them make up their own minds. Even more troubling was the WNBA's decision to deny media credentials to Outkick, the only outlet that attempted to directly question Griner about the incident. No other journalist even tried to get real answers. When one finally did, the league shut them out. That move isn't just censorship, it's a glaring red flag about how the WNBA handles accountability. A golden opportunity squandered the WNBA. Has a once-in-a-generation opportunity with CaitlinClark. She could elevate the league to new heights. But instead of embracing that transformation, certain elements within the league appear to resent it, and the leadership seems more interested in managing those resentments than maximizing their most valuable asset. Gaines understands something. The WNBA seems to have forgotten. Fans won't tolerate obvious unfairness for long. The new audiences Clark brought in aren't going to stick around if they feel like their favorite player is being treated unfairly by the league itself. Gaines's credibility and why it matters. What gives Riley Gaines's criticism even more weight is her background. As an elite swimmer and outspoken advocate for fairness in sports, she's seen firsthand how institutions can betray their own athletes in the name of narrative control or political correctness. She recognizes the pattern, and she's not afraid to call it out. She didn't enter this debate for clout or clicks. She's not part of the basketball world, but she is someone who understands the cost of institutional hypocrisy. When she saw the WNBA suppressing legitimate questions and selectively enforcing standards, she spoke up because few others in the sports world were willing to do so. Institutional hypocrisy on full display. The most damaging part of Gaines's criticism is how she framed the WNBA's behavior as an organization actively committed to its own self-destruction. And she's not wrong. The league investigates fake controversies while ignoring real ones. It grants media access when convenient and shuts it down when uncomfortable questions arise. It claims to promote women's basketball, but consistently undermines the players who are actually growing the game. The hypocrisy is glaring, and Gaines has made it impossible to ignore. Her intervention has forced the league, the media, and the public to confront these contradictions head-on. Where does the WNBA go from here? Now the WNBA faces a choice. It can start applying consistent standards, prioritize fairness, and embrace the opportunity CaitlinClark represents. Or it can continue down the path of narrative control, selective enforcement, and alienating the very fans it needs to survive. Unfortunately, based on how they've handled this situation so far, the smart money is on the league doubling down. But thanks to Riley Gaines, they'll be doing so under a national spotlight with every misstep now visible to the public. Final thoughts. The broader lesson. This controversy extends far beyond basketball. It's a case study in how ideological capture can lead institutions to act against their own best interests. Riley Gaines has seen it before, and she's made it her mission to call it out wherever it appears. By speaking up, she's forced the WNBA to confront a truth it would rather ignore. You can't build a thriving sports league on favoritism, censorship, and double standards. If the league continues down this road, it won't just lose credibility, it'll lose the future it could have had. Riley Gaines didn't create this controversy. She just made sure no one could pretend it didn't matter. What's your take? Do you think Riley Gaines was right to speak out? Should the WNBA be held accountable for how it's handled this situation? Let me know in the comments below, and if you found this analysis insightful, smash that like button and subscribe for more truth bombs because somebody has to say it.